Hi everyone, I'm Scott from Scott Made a Thing, and today I'm going to be showing you how I made this BAT detector for only £25 or $32 US. Price is correct at time of recording. Now, straight off the bat, we're not going to be making it completely from scratch down to the PCB level. That's a video for another day or year, whenever I get around to it. We're actually taking a pre-existing BAT detector kit that you can buy, and we're going to be putting it down into a smaller form factor. What you'll need for this project: a DIY BAT detector kit, or Fledermausdetektor zum Selberbauen, a project box, 100 by 50 by 68mm, or if you're still using SBMU, that's the stupid British mistake units, then that's 3.94 by 1.96 by 2.67 inches. Brilliant. A 9V USB-C rechargeable battery, a drill, a small file, a nail file will do, super glue or CA glue. The Franzis kit is great. I took it out one night as it was and I was really happy with it. But it's really not practical for long-term use. It's made of cardboard for a start. Also, it's mostly air, so there's a lot of space taken up which makes it too big to fit into a pocket. The battery is also just left to knock around on the inside, hanging from the connector, which is both annoying and destined to fail. My box is small enough to fit into a pocket, depending on how fat you are, and it's solid and robust. As you can see on the inside, it's all the same components, just condensed down into a smaller form factor. And if we flip it over, we can see the holes for the speaker, and there's also access to the charger port for when you occasionally need to charge the battery. I have no idea why I made a CGI video when I literally have the finished product in my hand. Literally took me longer to make than the whole project. That's ADHD for you. Let's take a look at the project box. I got two of these for £10, so after some calculation, that's £5 each. The box contains 4 screws and a foam seal for waterproofing, although we're drilling holes in the box, so please don't try to detect bats underwater. If you see a bat underwater, it's probably dead. I'm going to put the seal in anyway, why not? Now everything we need is in this box, so let's open it. And this is it, this is actually all you need, but like I said before, it's not particularly practical for long-term use. Don't get me wrong, I love this. It's a great gift for anyone with an interest in bats or even just putting kits together. The older version actually required you to solder it together, which I think is great for getting into electronics, but I guess they sold more of this version so that anyone can assemble it without a soldering iron. Here are the parts. We have the PCB all pre-assembled, the washers and nuts, a couple of knobs, a speaker, battery connector, and the ultrasonic microphone and its connecting wire. That's all you need. We have 3 connectors, the power going in, the microphone going there, and LS is for loudspeaker. Just testing my battery. Yep, that tastes like a full charge. Spicy. Connecting the battery, connecting the loudspeaker, and now the microphone. The volume knob is switched, which is nice, so to turn it on you just need to start turning it clockwise, and to turn it off you turn the volume all the way down. It's on now and you can just test it by rubbing your fingers together in front of it. What this circuit actually does is take the frequencies that are way too high for humans to hear and it divides it by 16. So the frequencies are 16 times lower and therefore fall into a range that the human ear can hear, and that the speaker can output. Human adults can only hear up to about 17 kHz. So if we set it to 46 kHz, which is about the frequency of a common pipistrelle bat, the circuit will take that, divide it by 16 and output 2.8 kHz, which falls well within the hearing range that we can hear. There's a little amplifier on the PCB as well, which amplifies the quiet signal into something that we can hear, so we don't have to strap the BAT detector to our head. We want the microphone at the front of the box, so we'll drill a hole around here. Here's one I made last year and I forgot to film, hence I'm making this one. I actually changed the knobs on this one because I had them and I liked them more. I've mounted the PCB to the side so that the knobs are on the side as well. But with this version I'm going to mount it a little higher so that there's room to run the wires underneath. On the first version I resoldered the connections to the other side as I thought I had less space than I did. I also need to work out where the holes are going to be drilled in order to mount it. Here and there. Another change I made with my first one was, because the PCB was mounted lower and the battery took up space, there wasn't enough for the speaker that comes with it, so I used a speaker from an old micro PC. I hadn't taken into account the large headroom that the lid provides, so I thought I was working in a smaller space than I was, so ignore my speaker here. We have these standoffs here that we're going to have to nibble away at to make room for everything to sit nicely. I'm going to be using these snips. They're the best tool I can think of that I own, so I'm putting my glasses on for protection because generally everything I ever snip likes to make sudden impact with my eyeball. Let's try it like this. Okay, that was easier than I thought. This plastic is really soft and quite forgiving. Nibble, 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 more nibble. Nibble complete. And these knobbles will be easy to nibble. Okie dokie. Now it's time to start working out where the holes are going to be drilled. I'm so confused about how I drilled the holes on this old one so perfectly. How? I couldn't have done that. They're so precise. It's perfect. I don't do perfect. I try, I fail, but I don't do it. Also a good point to mention now is that for the rest of the project you'll see me mount the battery on the base like this, which in order to fit over the speaker means having to put in a little shim under the battery to lift it up a bit. There's space within the lid for the battery, so the plans I'm providing you will show you where you should place the battery in the lid. To save you from the boring part, what I did was measure everything precisely in order to make some sort of drill template which can be downloaded and printed out, so if you want to make one yourself you can just take the template to the project box and mark the holes without having to start measuring everything. I've done the hard work for you. You can download this from my Patreon. It's free, you don't need to be my first Patreon subscriber. Just go to the link in the description and download it. I mean, while you're there you could, I don't know, maybe subscribe? Don't feel pressured. I mean, who of us actually follows through with what is morally right these days? We're all in thousands of pounds of debt, right? And hoping that some silly little YouTube channel can help us get out of that horrible little hole, right? Right? Apparently if you don't open the door to bailiffs, they can't come in and take your stuff. Go away, bailiff! I'm kidding. It's completely up to you. Anyway, let's get down to the garage and get drilling. Here's the 3.5mm holes for the speaker. Well, that's not too bad. Better than I thought it was going to be. At this point I've not created the printable template, so I've sort of done it by hand. We also want to make the potentiometer hole 7mm, but what I'll do first is drill a pilot hole with this bit, so when I go to use the 7mm bit, it will help it stay centred and it won't wander off. We're good to go. Oh dear. Oh dear. Wow, you absolute bellend. That could have been a lot worse. Let's try again without leaving the key in the chuck. While I'm at it, I'm going to drill some holes where we need to cut the rectangle out to make it easier for me to file into a rectangle. As I said before, the design has been updated, so you would be doing this part on the lid and you'd only need to use one large hole. I don't know why I chose just many small holes instead of one large one. Here's the 7mm drill holes for the pots, but since I have this step drill for widening holes accurately, I'm going to use it here. And because I used that bit, it's left the inner part of the hole too narrow, so I have to drill in with the bit after all. Now I'm going to nibble out the charger port. If I'd just used an 8mm drill bit, I could have easily just used a small file to work it into a rectangle, but hindsight is a wonderful thing. I'll make the mistake so you don't have to. Here I am starting with the small flat file that I could be doing instead of joining the little holes, and since I have it, a larger file. And lastly for the box, I'm going to lightly sand it to give it a matte finish. The shiny finish is so easy to scratch, it gets finger marks all over it and it's also a bit slippy, so we can solve all those issues with high grit sandpaper. Oh, I nearly forgot the most important part. We need to drill the 16mm hole for the microphone. It's around this point that I went to get a drink, left the camera running, and when I came back I pressed record to stop recording. I therefore have no evidence that I drilled the hole. However, I do have some compelling circumstantial evidence which I hope the jury will consider. Anyway, I went to 16mm, which is the third from the top here, and it's also given us a little... oh shit! A little bevel. Give it back! Give it back! Oh god, there goes another 2 subscribers. Right, let's get this back upstairs and put it all together. Back in the room now, and I'm happy. That came out a lot better than I thought it was going to come out, given that I did it. It's a bit wonky down there, and down there. Actually, it's all wonky. But who cares, it looks fine from a distance. Test fitting the microphone. Oh wow, that fits perfectly. What we'll do is once everything's in place, we'll put the microphone in and a small drop of super glue around the outside of the microphone, turn it around a bit and it will coat the inside of the hole and it should set pretty quickly and solidly. First in is the PCB and the pots.
Like a glove.
Luckily the combined thickness of the box and the washers is just small enough to allow the nuts to grab the shafts. Leave it. And screwing it on nice and tightly will hold it firmly. I'm going to put the battery in now with double-sided tape. Remember, your battery should be in the lid, but the idea is exactly the same. I'm not gluing in the battery because then that can size it to a single use and would also make it tricky and maybe dangerous to remove, should you wish to, for whatever mad reason. With this speaker, I'm going to wick some super glue into the holes, but for the original green speaker that you'll be using, being careful not to get any super glue on the actual speaker diaphragm, just put a couple of drops around the outside. It's plastic to plastic bonding, so it won't really need a lot. Just going to hold that there while it sets. Now the final piece of the puzzle, the microphone. By the way, the red wire should go to the terminal of the microphone with the black dot. The black wire is ground and the negative terminal of the microphone is grounded. I'm just going to put a couple of drops around the inside of it and then put the microphone in and then move it around to spread it all around. Wipe the excess off with bare skin, of course, you idiot. It's knob time. That's probably a sentence you were hoping to never hear from anyone. You'll see on the original kit that there's this almost meaningless dial of kilohertz which doesn't tell you what numbers we're dealing with. I would say that the kit is probably not accurate enough for it to have been printed with actual values, probably vary depending on temperature and battery level. The booklet does say that it goes between 20 kilohertz and 100 kilohertz, so I've included an optional dial in the printout sheet that if you like you can put on like this. I wouldn't bother though because you can count and it looks like shit. You could use it as a guide to score some lines into the plastic if you care enough. Okay, everything is in place now apart from the lid, so let's get that on and call it done. A few screws and then sliding the knobs on. A little test. Okay, it's working. We're finished. Well, we've only gone and bloody done it. Let's go outside and see it in action.
Here we are in the deep, dark wilderness of South Croydon, home to 9 different species of bat. A very nice man has put up a bat box on that tree, sealing below for further information on that. But where are the bats? The bats here tend to emerge about 15 minutes after sunset. A bat. The detector is picking up a bat, but very faintly. Possibly the frequency is not set correctly. Different bats emit at different frequencies, and I don't know which species of bat that is. It's also quite far away. A slight adjustment, and we can hear it clearly. A flyby. A bat. Bat. Another bat. Lots of bats. I will be quiet now so you can listen to something nice. See how this bat follows the same path twice. They must have their own regular paths. What a shot. Insert joke about the Twilight films. New Moon, vampires, etc. Here, my glamorous assistant is modelling the bat detector whilst the film crew watch on over an organised bat walk. here's something you didn't know. I am Batman.
Thank you so much for taking your time to watch this video, it really means a lot to me. I hope you learned something, I hope you liked it, and if you want the plans, then they're over on my Patreon and the link is in the description below, as well as the links to the other bits and pieces that you need. If you do follow along with it, please let me know how you get on with it in the comments below. I've got loads of videos in the pipeline, so if you want to see more of this kind of thing, then you know what to do. I look forward to you seeing me again really soon. Bye!